What's poppin', everybody? How everybody doing? So I thought today, I was thinking today, and this is just something that I've observed from my own family dynamics. I'm not saying this is the same for every family dynamics, but it's just something that I've observed from my own family dynamics. Everybody just has a different side of you because of the experiences that you go through with those people, and with family, it's the same thing. The say cousins or siblings that you lived with, that you went through so many things with, that you did so many things with, that you experienced basically life with, you got to grow with, you got to do so many things with. Those are the people that have you have a stronger bond with. That's why you have to spend time with your children to bond with them. That's why you have to do basically things with your partner so that you can get to bond with them, get to know them. Yes, you get to know them, you also get to bond with them. So that's how we basically form bonds. And I think that's a thing that a lot of families kind of hold back on, the whole experiences thing. And I mean, it makes sense. Um, like I said, this is from my family dynamics, things, relationships. And I mean, it also happens to other families. I know that for a fact. Um, but I mean, if it doesn't happen with your family, you guys are great together. That's perfect. But it just got me thinking about why they you have you have better relationships basically with your friends than with most of your family members. Or like, yeah. And it also just got me thinking about how parents are responsible for sibling rivalry. And I don't know whether they don't realize it. I think they do realize it, but I think sometimes they just don't understand. Then they get confused when it goes to where they thought it wouldn't go, maybe, or as far as they didn't. Like maybe they don't think it would go sometimes very far, and then it just goes very far. Because the thing is with black parents, they believe in negative reinforcement for some reason. They think negative reinforcement is like the best thing. They think tough love is like, and I don't know whether I should blame American movies for that, or if I should, I don't know who to blame for that. But it's a thing where people just believe in tough love. They believe so much that if you bully someone, basically, it means you love them. Okay, maybe it comes from misogynist and patriarchal society. But they just believe that if you love somebody, instead of being kinder to them, instead of being more nurturing to them, instead of being more supportive to them, you must just be you must just use negative reinforcement. You must just yell at them. You must just um, pretend, sometimes not so pretend, to hate them. You must just, yeah, it's this whole, they believe that if you spoil, okay, maybe it comes from the Bible as well. The whole spoil, like spare the rod, spoil the child, something like that. And those things kind of create a lot of issues within the family dynamics, relationships. And that's why in your friendships you will have a better relationship with your friends than with your family people, because they don't know you when they meet you. They And another thing is they have a choice when it comes to hanging out with you. So they got to see you, they got to know you. It's just kind of like with partner. So you got to see this person, and then you got to like them, and then you got to know them, and then you just realize, okay, I like the kind of a person they are. So then, you take it from there. Can't see my necklace. And it says female future. So you need to see it. um, so those things are the thing it creates a rift. So that whole negative reinforcement that black parents especially believe in, I'm not sure if it's the same with other racial groups, but I just know it's a thing that black people believe in so much that even if you have money, your children should never know they have money. They must struggle because the struggle is going to build them. And those are the things that create those things. So it tends to lead to comparison of the children. That's where it leaks into. So the children are compared with each other. So look at so and so, they're doing this and this and that. And I mean, and that's the environment that I grew up in. Um, it was me and my sister at my grandmother's house. And I mean, we never really cared about those things. Like when it came to each other, our relationship never changed. But at the same time, we were just always being compared. They would always, black parents do this thing of telling the one child that, okay, you're so much better than this person, you're so much better than your sister, your brother, because you don't do ABC. And that can easily make children to gang up against each other. But for my family, it was even bigger than that. I don't know whether they didn't realize or they never realized or they don't realize because it still happens to this day. Um, we're just a bit older now, so we can just choose not to sometimes go to family functions. But it was always a thing during the holidays. Like I said, me and my sister grew up at my grandmother's house. And since we grew up, and that's like in the village, in the rural areas, and we had cousins who lived in the burbs, and they would always come home for the holidays. And because their parents had more money, they were richer, they put more money, they gave like to the family functions, to anything, then the treatment was different. The rules were different for them. Like at my grandmother's house, we're not allowed to wear pants, we're not allowed to wear shorts, we're not allowed to wear basically anything that's gonna seduce men. And I mean, we were kids at the time, we didn't even know what that meant, but we just knew we're not allowed to do it. And so those kind of things do create a rift between the children, because when my cousins who lived in the burbs in the city would come home, they would rock up in their shorts, they would rock up in their jeans, they would wear jeans the whole time, and nobody would say anything, nobody cared, nobody, it didn't matter. They would just keep quiet. But when it came to me and my sister, the ones who grew up there, it was just like, no, 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 no. If you're gonna wear pants, you must put a dress over it. And those are the things that can create, because then you kind of teach these other kids that the rules are different for them. Then there are these ones that also have different rules, but their rules are more oppressive. Their rules are they're more limited, more restricted. And also, when it came to chores, we had to do, everybody who basically, whose parent, I don't want to say everybody who grew up in the rural areas, in my grandmother's house, because it was not always the case. We had cousins who didn't grow up there, but because their parents did not have money or a lot of money, then they ended up doing the things that we were doing. They would be the ones that partake in the chores, but the cousins who lived in the suburbs, they're the ones. We wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the garden, to go and plant, to go, clean up weeds. And then we have those cousins, the ones that are from the burbs. They just wake up, take out their MacBooks, go sit in the lounge and read books with my grandfather. They're just sitting there, they're not doing anything, and they're not very younger than us. They were about 2 years younger than me at the time. Well, not at the time, all the time. They're about a year or two younger than me, and we would have cousins that were 5 years younger than me, 8 years younger than me, with me in the garden. So it was not a matter of age. and then we come back, we have to cook, we have to make breakfast for everybody, we're not even allowed to eat cereal, we're not even allowed to eat, yeah, only they eat cereal because they're not used to eating porridge. So you can't finish the cereal and all those things. You kind of teach your kids then that they're better than these other ones. There's a complex that you're creating in that situation, whether the parents were aware or not. But that's what it does. It creates those things. Like, no, you can't eat yogurt. You're not used to it anyways. There are these ones who came from the burbs who are used to eating yogurt. So they are the only ones who are going to eat yogurt kind of things. And that teaches children. That creates that rift. That's gonna do that. That's gonna happen. And you cook, you wash the dishes, you do everything. After breakfast, you have to prepare for lunch. You're busy, you're pilling. They're still chilling in their MacBook, so they're gonna come sit next to you and chat you up a storm while you are busy cooking, and their parents are busy shouting that you are chatting too much. There's not a lot of work getting done. You need to hurry and make sure that the lunch is ready, and so, and obviously the cousins who are in the kitchen working together, they're the ones that are gonna bond better. They're the ones that are gonna have a better relationship because they are always together, grouped together, doing things. And then as we get older, we all move out of the village. Then all of a sudden their parents start to kind of wonder, why is there a rift between you and our kids, kind of thing? Why are you guys not getting along? Why are you guys not? And it's just like, that's gonna happen. That's bound to happen because you created that. You showed your children that they were better because they were different. The rules were different. All of the things that applied to the other children do not apply to them. They would never wash a plate. They would never wipe a plate. They would never put away a plate. And because they're not used to working about kalanga, so you can't bother them. Only you, basically, the children whose parents have low to no income basically become the servers of the other children. And so that's bound to happen. There's not a lot of, we never got to experience things together, and we never got to sit and actually get to know each other. They don't know me outside of their mother yelling at me that I'm too slow to wash the curtains while they are sitting in the living room chatting with me while I'm ironing the curtains. So they don't know me outside of that. They just know me as a cousin that always find there, and that's it. So obviously those things are going to create relationship problems between the children. You can't then, if that has been happening since we were like 10, 11, 13, and then all of a sudden when I'm 25, that's when we must suddenly have a relationship. That's not really how it works. I mean, maybe even if they don't really think it, but there's a complex that was created. One was shown there superior to the other one. And that's not how relationships work. Relationships work on equality. Everybody's the same. Everybody does chores. Everybody sits in the kitchen and bonds together. Everybody does everything together. Yes, I have a way better relationships with my cousins that I would do chores with in the kitchen. That even when it came to sleeping time, we wouldn't all sleep in there was no cousin's room. It was me and my sister's room, and the aunts were just like, no, my children will not go and sleep in that room. They will sleep with me in my specific bedroom, and these more comfy beds, because the other beds are not as comfy. They don't have the comfier pillows. So obviously that creates problems. And in families where it was more of a joint thing, because I would go to my grandmother's home and I would see the cousins, and there was not a lot of that. There were no cousins watching TV while the other cousins are cleaning, unless we had divided the chores, because I was also there. I was helping with him, and it was just like a lot of the group effort. It's either we're all working or nobody's working, or we divide the chores, so that some people do get to rest, not the same people are being worked over and over again. And that worked way better. They have way better relationships. It's not a matter of, okay, sweeping, everything that's basically needs to be done is going to be done by 5 specific people, and then there's the other 6, 7 people who are just sitting watching TV because they're not used to working. That doesn't make sense. Why should it be the same people that are working all the time? So that's why that's going to happen. That's why you're going to have a better relationship with your friends, because with your friends you meet outside of that. They know you're outside of that. They, in fact, let's say for instance, your varsity friends. You go to varsity, you meet people. That's a new slate. That's a clean slate. They don't know anything about you. They didn't have what their parents projected of them, because that's another thing. Um, Parents tend to, like I said, I don't know whether they realize it or they don't, but they tend to gang up the children against each other. They create these hierarchies, and then whether it comes to behave, whether they subdivide it with by behavior, by school, class, all those things. But they do create those things. So you're gonna have a well-behaved child who's the golden child that they're all gonna hail, and every time one child does something wrong, they use the other child as an example. Those things create friction within the children. They create friction. They are bound to create friction. Um, because now you have these other kids that are just resenting this one kid because of what the parents are doing. And obviously, black parents have this whole children must buy love, children must prove themselves, must audition for them to love you, to like you, to do all those things for you. And that makes no sense. Why should a child that you decided to bring into this world earn your love? That makes no sense. You should love them because they're your child. And another thing is, if they're a lazy child, so what? That's how they are. Then you can find other things. Like, they don't all have to be the same. They don't all have to do the same thing. They don't all have to have the same strength. So except when it comes to dividing of the chores, then that's a whole different story. Everybody must partake in it. But that's not how it is in my family. It still isn't like that. Like I said, now we're just older and we just choose not to go to family functions because you know you're just gonna go there and break your back while others are just sitting and not doing anything. And they also think it's a quirky trait, and it's not. Don't do that. That's selfishness. It teaches you to be a selfish person. And another thing is, that's not how you also do your other relationships. You just do it here because that's how you were trained. You were conditioned that way. Because a lot of them, they don't do that with their partners. They go above and beyond for their partners. They go above and beyond for their friends. They cook for their friends. They take their friends out. They clean their friends' houses. And I mean, that's fine. That's how it's supposed to be. But when it comes to doing their own things at home, because they have these cousins that they've always been conditioned to be the ones that do all the work for them, and then they're just like, yeah, what I mean, I'm the lazy one. I just like hide and I don't do anything. And it's just like, that's not cute. Don't do that, because you're just overworking other people. And it screams selfish. That's what it screams. It screams selfish, because it means you can do these things, you just choose not to hear. And because, again, it goes back to the whole, your parents created a hierarchy and you see yourself better than these people, but when it comes to your friends, you don't. You see them as equals. So that's why you're gonna have a better relationship with your friends, because you see them as equals. That's why if you go to your friend's house, you're gonna get there and sweep and clean and cook. If they're cooking, you're gonna be sitting in the kitchen with them, helping them with the cooking, with the chopping and everything. But when you go to your cousin's house, you're not gonna do that. To your grandmother's house, you're not gonna do that, because you're conditioned to believe that you have your cousins that do that for you. You have your servers when you get there. So that's why you're gonna have a better relationship with your friends. You get to do more things. You have more experiences. So that creates a better bond. There's a lot of equality that's there. There's a clean slate when you meet your friends. They don't know who you are. They wanna get to know you. You get to experience things together. For me, a lot of my friendships have really been that kind of situation. Because then for a change, I just saw these people that just saw stars in my face, and it was amazing because I mean I've just always been the kid who's at home, my grandmother's house, who everyone gets there and expects them to overwork to have, and then you get to meet your friends who just want to make your life easy. You meet your partner who wants to make your life easy. And it's hard in the beginning because you're not used to that. You're used to being the one that's supposed to be the one that's helping other people because that's your conditioning, that's how you grew up, that's what you were raised in. And so obviously you're gonna have a better relationship with those people. And another thing is you get to learn a lot of things. You get to have genuine people to lean on. Because another thing, a lot of those family dynamics, like I said in my family, a lot of those family dynamics, once there's a hierarchy, you don't have people to lean on. You can never have conversations with them because what are we gonna talk about? I'm gonna sit there and listen to you talk about your favorite TV shows when I live in my grandmother's house where I'm not even allowed to watch TV, kind of thing. It's just one of those things. But with your friends, you can relate in every single level because whether we're gonna watch TV together, whether we're not gonna watch TV together, if they find a way to watch TV, if we both don't have TV, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna share that information. Then we're gonna do those things, and yeah.